10 years of being head over heels. My boyfriend threw an extravagant wedding for my bestie who's battling cancer, all without me knowing. Just because she's fighting the illness, her last wish was to marry him. Jason blocked all messages, making sure no one could let this thing slip to me. He had no clue that my best friend was live streaming the entire grand ceremony the whole time. That night, I bawled my eyes out until I passed out. Jason spent the night on the island with his best friend, live streaming the entire wedding extravaganza. On the day my heart condition flared up again, he bailed on me to take my best friend to the hospital, almost costing me my life. So, I accepted a proposal from the millionaire big shot Ryan. Mia, are you seriously gonna marry me? After I agreed to the marriage, Ryan started texting me every few minutes to confirm. Once I said yes, he sent me over a dozen styles of diamond rings to pick from. These are all rings I snagged at auctions. Check them out and see if you like any. When I didn't respond, a few seconds later, he hit me up again. If you haven't found anything you like, there's a jewelry auction in England in a few days. I'll take you to pick one out then. After taking a closer look, I sent him a voice message. That gray-pink diamond looks pretty sweet. Let's go with that for the wedding ring. Jason didn't know when to come back, but just as I was catching up to him, I heard the words wedding ring and suddenly spoke up. Wedding ring? What wedding ring? He looked at me, and on his usually chill and composed face, there was a rare flash of panic. I met his gaze casually, just as I was about to make up an excuse to brush it off. But then my phone rang. I saw it was a call from my bestie, Emily. After answering, her sobbing filled the phone. Mia, is Jason by your side? I just had another nosebleed. I'm so scared. Before I could say anything, Jason snatched the phone away. He spoke anxiously. Emily, don't be scared. I'm on my way. Then Jason left me and dashed out. I totally forgot he'd asked me to go night cruising on the Pearl River that night, saying he wanted to make up for missing our 10th anniversary of love. Turns out, giving up on someone feels like this. Even watching him run towards another woman, my heart couldn't feel any more numb. The phone rang again. This time, it was Ryan calling. Mia, you ready? I'm coming to Haysher to pick you up tomorrow. I stared into the distance, my eyes deep and thoughtful. In a week, once I handle everything I need to, I'll head back to the capital to get hitched. On the other end, Ryan spoke softly. Okay, I'll wait for you. If you run into anything you can't handle, remember to let me know. After hanging up, I called Jason's granddad to say goodbye. Jason's granddad and my granddad were comrades with a strong bond between them. When I was 8, I was diagnosed with a serious heart condition. Jason's family-run private hospital specialized in cardiology, making it pretty top-notch. So, my granddad decided to send me to Jason's place to recover. Over the years, Jason's parents treated me like their own, and his granddad took care of me in every possible way. I was about to move back to Beijing, and out of both heart and reason, I needed to say goodbye. Jason didn't come home that night either. Emily sent me a message. Look at you with your mouth full. So cute. In the photo, Jason was bending down to eat cake, while Emily was smearing cream on his face with a finger. But soon, she took back the message. Sorry, Mia, I just sent that to the wrong person. Jason said that photo was super cute and asked me to send it to him. You're not mad, are you? I didn't reply to her. Instead, I quietly went back to my room and started packing my bags. The next day at noon, Jason finally came home. He had a gift for me as an apology. Mia, Emily was really sick last night. I just took her to the hospital. I didn't say a word. When I opened the brocade box, I found a Rolex women's watch inside. The strap was decked out with a circle of diamonds, insanely luxurious. But I remember he also gave Emily a similar gift. It was just that mine was a bit pricier. Jason noticed my lack of reaction and asked with some concern, Mia, are you mad? I softly replied, No, Emily's sick. It's natural for you to go see her. Jason looked at me suspiciously, maybe thinking my reaction was weird, but in the end, he just sighed. I'm glad you're not upset. After all, we still have a long road ahead together, but Emily... At this point, Jason's eyes turned a bit teary. I couldn't be bothered to listen to him. In that case, spend more time with her. After saying that, I turned to leave. But Jason grabbed my wrist. When I looked up, my eyes were empty. What's wrong? Jason felt a bit irritated, but he couldn't figure out why. Soon his phone rang again. He glanced down a few times, then looked up and said to me, Mia, I gotta go on a business trip for the next few days and won't be back for a while. You need to stay safe at home. I casually hummed in response, thinking it'd be better if he didn't come back, so that tomorrow I could return to Jason's place to say goodbye to everyone. The next morning, I grabbed the prepared gifts and headed to Jason's house. Jason's mom turned red-eyed when she heard I was heading back to Beijing. Mia, what's up? You were doing so well in Haishur. Why are you suddenly leaving? Jason's dad immediately slammed the table. Where's Jason? Why didn't he come back with you? Did he treat you bad? I hesitated for a moment, but in the end, I still didn't tell the truth. No, it's just that I've been away from home for too long these years, and I want to go back and take a look. Jason's mom looked at me, her expression full of concern as she spoke. Does Jason know about your decision to go back? To avoid more trouble, I nodded gently. Yeah, he knows. Hearing me say this, no one dared to argue further. After some casual talk, I stood up, ready to leave. Just then, the door suddenly swung open, and I came face to face with Jason's face. Standing next to him, Emily smiled at me and gently said, Mia, what are you doing here? She asked with righteous indignation, as if she had already become a member of the Chai family. I don't need to explain where I'm at to you. After saying that, I walked past Jason and headed for the door. Jason, coming back to his senses, immediately chased after me to explain. Mia, don't get it twisted. I brought Emily home today so my parents could help her find a good doctor. Besides, she's your close friend too. You wouldn't hold it against me, right? I had a moment of distraction. What echoed in my mind was Jason's promise to me under the cherry blossom tree when we were 18. He said marrying me was his lifelong wish. One day he'd take me back to meet his parents as his future daughter-in-law. But now he brought another woman home and even lied to me, saying he was going on a business trip. Looking into Jason's expectant eyes, I slowly spoke. How could that be? I've never been a greedy person. I just don't care about those who aren't worth it. Hearing me say this, Jason was taken aback for a moment. Mia, do you really not care at all? I think you're really too hard to please. In the past, when Jason was close to Emily, I got mad, and he said I was petty. Now that I'm not asking about anything between them, he's still not satisfied? But I don't want to explain, and there's nothing to explain. Later, Jason pecked my forehead and said, Be good and wait for me at home. After entering the elevator, I reached up to wipe my forehead clean. He made me feel sick. On our 10th anniversary, Jason also used a business trip as an excuse to brush me off. However, that night, I got a video call request from Emily. After the call connected, I listened to the lively atmosphere of the wedding scene, and only then realized the wedding was between Jason and Emily. 3 months ago, Emily was diagnosed with a terminal illness. She posted on Instagram, I hope to have a wedding with the person I love most before I die. At that time, I hadn't noticed the weirdness between them, and I even asked her in the comments who her favorite person was. She replied, You'll know when the time comes. The moment I learned the truth, my heart felt like it was being ripped apart, the pain so intense I could barely breathe. I called Jason like crazy, wanting to ask him why he treated me this way. But that night, Jason didn't answer a single call. I cried myself to faint at home while he was spending the wedding night with Emily. Luckily, everything was about to end. After getting back home, I received a call from Emily. Mia, I'm really sorry. I had no idea I'd run into you today. I scoffed and didn't reply. Emily took a deep breath and said with an envious tone, Jason's mom is really such a nice person. She's so kind, asking me how I am and checking on me. They also said they'd do their best to help me find a good doctor for my treatment. When she said this, she paused for a moment. Then she lowered her voice and asked, Mia, tell me, why can't the person who marries into the Jason family be me? Of course it could be her, as long as she's got the ability. Then I wish you both 100 years of happiness in advance. Then I hung up the phone, wanting to block her straight away. That way she wouldn't keep popping up in front of me to show off. At that moment, I accidentally clicked into Emily's Instagram and found out she had actually stolen my design drafts to enter a competition. I was so mad my hands trembled a bit, because that drawing was a birthday gift I gave to Jason. I didn't expect he'd hide it from me and send the draft to Emily. I patted my racing heart, trying my best to calm down, and then took out my copyright registration certificate to report Emily's work as plagiarized on the competition website. After all this, my friend Chloe, who co-runs the studio with me, also called. Mia, what happened? Why the sudden withdrawal of funds? Chloe is a mutual friend of Emily and me, but she'd always had a bad relationship with Emily before, so I told her everything over the phone, including, of course, that I was about to get married. Chloe was furious after hearing this. This Emily is just too shameless, relying on her illness to casually steal other people's men? Who knows if she's just pretending? It's driving me crazy. I have to call her and give her a piece of my mind. Hearing Chloe's loyal words, I was pretty moved. Forget it, I can't be bothered. The wedding was about to take place. At that moment, footsteps sounded behind me. Jason's voice suddenly broke in. Wedding? What wedding? I hung up the phone. When I turned to look at Jason, I noticed he seemed a bit nervous. Suddenly, I had a different thought. I just heard a rumor. There's a guy who, behind his girlfriend's back, held a wedding with another woman. A friend just said that man is despicable and it's pitiful for his girlfriend, who still thinks she's his one true love. Who would have thought that as soon as these words were spoken, Jason yelled out in excitement, "What's this all about? How do they know? Does that man have his own reasons? What if that wedding is fake just to fulfill the dying wish of a terminally ill patient?" Hearing his grandiose words, I suddenly found it kind of funny. 10 years of feelings, all wasted on feeding the dogs. Maybe sensing something was wrong with my emotions, Jason stepped forward and hugged me. Mia, what's been going on with you lately? He held me tightly in his arms. We've been through so many years together. Don't you know how much I love you? Once we sort out Emily's stuff, let's get married, okay? As he spoke, his hand slowly slipped inside my shirt, but I turned my head away, pushing his restless hand down. Sorry, I don't have any feelings. Jason's deep-set eyes stared at me for a long time, yet he couldn't read anything from me. In the end, he reluctantly let go of me and said, I'm going to sleep in the study. That night, I had just fallen asleep when I heard Jason hurriedly leaving the house. I turned over and tried to sleep, but the next morning, as soon as I opened the door, I saw Jason sitting in the living room. I raised my eyebrows slightly. So early? Jason didn't give me a good look. Instead, he confronted me head-on. Why did you have to report Emily for plagiarism? Do you have any idea how much this affects her? I smiled, my expression frozen. May I ask, was that design draft done by Emily herself? Did she not plagiarize? Jason was shocked to hear this. Mia, how did you become like this? Where did the kind you go? You have everything, countless awards for your work. What difference would it make to let her have a chance? Emily is now so angry that her condition has worsened, lying in the hospital on the brink of death. She just wanted to feel the joy of winning an award before her life ends. Is that too much to ask? I was so mad my fingers felt a bit numb. I immediately retorted, Of course not. Jason, you know how much I've sacrificed over the years to achieve my dreams? To practice my painting, my hands were covered in frostbite during the harsh winter, itching and hurting. How can you just say that I should give my work to Emily? If she wants to feel the joy of winning an award, she should work a little harder for it. What does it mean to take what I've earned? A man can be without, but if anyone dares to touch my design work, I will never let her go. Jason didn't notice the changes in my body. He dropped a line, "You've changed," and then walked outside. And I, pissed off, had a heart attack, suddenly collapsing to the ground, pleading in agony. Jason, save me! But he never looked back once. After waking up, I found myself lying in the hospital. Ryan held me tightly in his arms. Mia, we're going back to Beijing. This time, I slowly closed my eyes and said, okay. It turns out that a person can truly burn all their hopes to ashes in a single moment. Jason only found out about my sudden departure on the third day. He called me frantically, and I found it annoying, so I just blocked him. Why do you care so much about Emily, yet still keep me hanging? I curled up on the Italian handcrafted sofa, watching Ryan have a high-end custom wedding dress delivered, feeling dazzled. He gently wrapped his arm around my shoulder and asked softly, "Which style do you like?" I carefully selected and finally settled on a strapless mermaid tulle dress. This one will do. I think it looks pretty nice. Ryan affectionately ruffled my hair and said, "All right, then let's go with this one." After choosing the wedding dress, he went to discuss the specific details of the wedding day with the planning company. In the past few days, Chloe told me that Jason went completely mad after he found out I was missing. He asked everywhere about my whereabouts, but learned of my return to the capital from his own parents. Mia, what do you think his reaction would be if he found out about your marriage? I didn't have time to think much when I heard someone ringing the doorbell outside. I thought it was just the wedding staff Ryan had sent over again. I stepped forward to open the door, only to be met by Jason's crimson eyes. The moment he saw me, his eyes were filled with disbelief. Mia, you're really here? Jason spoke with a slight choke in his voice. Why did you leave without saying a word? You must have done it on purpose to upset me, right? Come back with me, and we'll get married right away. Seeing Jason pulling me, Ryan rushed over. Jason, please stay away from my wife. Jason stumbled slightly, his voice trembling. What did you just say? Ryan stood tall in front of me, blocking Jason's burning gaze. Jason, stop joking! After 10 years together, how could I just end it? Were all the promises we made over the years just lies? I really didn't want to get tangled with him any longer, so I immediately threw out my marriage certificate with Ryan for him to see. Jason, I'm not lying to you. I really got married. He was somewhat taken aback, his shoulders drooping in deep hurt. Why? Seeing Jason about to rush forward, Ryan stepped up directly to block him. Immediately, with a cold face, he scolded, How can you still ask Mia why? Don't you have any idea what you've been doing these days? Saying this, Ryan pulled out a pile of photos from somewhere and threw them on the ground. You keep saying you love Mia, yet you secretly marry another woman. Is this what you call love? In the photo, Emily smiles with pure happiness, while Jason looks like a knight protecting his princess. Such a warm and harmonious scene pierced my eyes. Jason explained in a panic, Mia, it's not what you think. Emily and I are in a fake marriage just like playing house. I'm just fulfilling a wish of hers before she passes. A tear slipped from the corner of my eye. Ryan quickly reached out and gently wiped it away from me. I stepped forward and looked at Jason calmly. The wedding with her is fake, so what about all your feelings for her? Is that also fake? Jason wearily closed his eyes. Emily is also your good friend. I was just putting on a show for her. I thought you wouldn't mind. I found it utterly sarcastic. Jason, do you really believe what you just said? That day you rushed out without hesitation. Did you ever think that I might get so angry I could have a heart attack and almost die at home? Jason's body trembled, and he suddenly looked up. Mia, what did you say? I was tired and didn't want to say much to him. Jason, we're done. Jason's face darkened terrifyingly. His gaze shifted from guilt to resentment in just 3 seconds. Immediately, he let out a cold laugh and spoke slowly. It doesn't matter. Even if you're married, it doesn't matter. Even if I have to tie you up, I will take you to the Civil Affairs Bureau to get a divorce from her. After saying that, he pulled out a blank check from his pocket and tossed it to Ryan. Pretty boy, have you heard of the Chai family in Haysher? Fill in the amount on the check yourself and divorce my wife. Otherwise, you'll find out what happens when you cross me. I was so angered by Jason's rude behavior that I wanted to confront him, but Ryan stopped me. Ryan didn't care. Instead, he smiled faintly. Jason, is this how you win back your lover? It's really not impressive. This struck Jason like a dagger, and he erupted in anger. What the hell do you care? Do you know that Mia and I have been childhood sweethearts? We've shared a whole decade together. Do you really think you stand a chance of stealing her from me? As long as I take her back and spend every day with her, she will definitely come back to me. Suddenly, Jason raised his fist towards Ryan. I exclaimed, Jason, you're crazy! But before that fist could land, it was blocked by Ryan with one hand. Back up, Jason! Ryan's cold face showed anger. What do you take her for? Is she just something you can summon and dismiss at will? Jason had been working out for years, his body covered in muscle. But now he was subdued by Ryan, like a little chick, with no power to resist. Immediately, Ryan let out a cold laugh, and the bodyguards in the room responded at once. He grabbed a rope and tied Jason up tightly. Jason's veins bulged with anger. Bastard, do you know who I am? How dare you treat me like this? After securing his cuffs, Ryan spoke slowly. You're from the High City Chai family. Why don't you go back and ask the old master of the Chi family if he's ever heard of the Liu family in the capital? Dropping this line, he raised his hand, and Jason was carried out by a group of bodyguards. Completely ignoring Jason's increasingly shocked expression, Ryan turned to me and explained, Mia, don't get me wrong, I don't usually act like this. Looking at his serious yet slightly nervous expression, I smiled gently. I think your approach is pretty good. Otherwise, with Jason's character, he would never give up easily. I'm already tired of this endless drama. That evening, Ryan organized a dinner for our two families' elders to finalize the wedding details. This was also the first time I met Ryan's mother. During the wait, I felt a bit nervous, my palms sweating. Ryan held my hand tightly under the table and whispered reassuringly, Mia, don't be scared. My parents really like you. After both sets of parents arrived, the atmosphere was relatively harmonious. When Ryan's mom saw me for the first time, she couldn't stop smiling and even took out a brocade box to hand to me. Mia, I've always heard Ryan talk about you, and today, I finally get to meet the real you. You're even more beautiful than I imagined. Hearing this, I was taken aback for a moment. I met Ryan at an art exhibition. At that time, he was the exhibitor, and I was the curator. We clicked immediately, chatting happily, and it was only 2 months from our first meeting to deciding to get married. Will he often mention me in front of his family? Seeing me in a daze, Ryan reminded me, open the brocade box and take a look. I guess it might be a gift for meeting, either a watch or a bag. When the brocade box was opened, my mom, sitting next to me, gasped. This isn't it the ancestral jade bracelet of the Ryan family? In the brocade box, there lies a King's Green Ice jade bracelet. Previously, a financial journalist interviewed the Ryan family and mentioned this ancestral jade bracelet, which is said to be worth 9 figures. I was stunned and hurriedly handed the brocade box back. This is too precious. Ryan's mom picked up the jade bracelet and directly helped me put it on my wrist. A gift for my future daughter-in-law, no matter the cost. It's not too precious. You deserve it. After saying that, she gently placed her hand on the back of mine. Because you deserve it. That day when I followed my parents home, I unexpectedly saw Jason's father and mother at our house. My mom sighed. At that time, your granddad insisted on sending you to Haishur, and the Ryan family repeatedly promised to take good care of you. We all thought that you and Jason would be together in the end. We don't know what happened between you and Jason, but you've received favors from the Ryan family over the years, so it wouldn't be right to turn him away. I also found it reasonable after hearing that, so I said to my mom, Mom, don't worry. I will handle this matter well. I personally brought 2 cups of tea into the study. When Ryan's mom saw me for the first time, her eyes turned red. Mia, I heard you returned to the capital to get married. I sighed. Uncle, Aunt, I won't hide it from you any longer. Jason and I are done. Uncle Ryan furrowed his brows in anger. Has this little brat done something wrong to you? Just watch me beat him to death. I remained silent, but Ryan's mom sensed something was off. Is it because of that, Emily? I didn't say a word, but my attitude spoke volumes. Ryan's mom, her face full of shame, said, Mia, we've treated you like our own daughter. I can't even face you after Jason did such a thing. In the years away from home, Ryan's mom has given me a lot of care, so I certainly won't become estranged from her because of Jason. And no matter what, you are the people I respect the most. In fact, I could guess they came to my house to try to win me back. But after understanding the situation, the words to keep him from leaving still didn't come out. After they left, Chloe sent me several messages in a row. Mia, you have to see the screenshot I sent you. That Emily is really crazy. After she heard that I was getting married, she actually posted a lot of derogatory comments about me on Instagram. It's simply infuriating. I opened a screenshot and the strong aroma of tea rushed to my nose. Some people act as innocent as a little white flower, but who knows? They haven't even broken up with their boyfriend and are already eager to get a marriage certificate with another man. Don't be so cheap, okay? The accompanying image was an old profile photo of me. Moreover, she also replied in the comments, You don't know, her husband is old and ugly. She only cares about his money. Chloe said to me, This Emily is such a bitch. I couldn't take it anymore. And after arguing with her, I just blocked her. I am immersed in the joy of my upcoming wedding and have no desire to let someone like this affect my mood. So I comforted Chloe. Don't be angry. In 3 days, I will be getting married, and I am waiting for you in the capital to be my bridesmaid. In the past few days, Ryan had taken me around to shop and have fun, calling it a way to build our relationship. Despite consciously trying to distance myself from certain people and past events, the gossip about Emily reached my ears through various mutual friends. After returning to Highshire, Jason's father and mother did the first thing they could. They went to the hospital to request Emily's medical records. As a result, it didn't matter if you didn't look, but once you did, it took you by surprise. Jason's father keenly noticed that Emily's various test indicators were abnormal, showing signs of manipulation, so they began to investigate step by step. In the end, it turned out that Emily didn't have any terminal illness at all. Her health was pretty good. Previously, fainting and feeling unwell was just a way to fake pity and attract Jason's attention. After Ryan's mom found out, she had security throw her and her belongings out of the hospital. Emily cried out in fear, desperately clutching the hospital door frame and refusing to leave. Aunt, please don't kick me out. Don't send me away. If Jason finds out, he will definitely argue with you. Ryan's mom was furious, raising her hand and slapping her. How dare you mention Jason? Get out of here right now. Keeping you in the hospital is a waste of medical resources. After being kicked out, Emily squatted in the hospital, crying and calling Jason. 5 minutes later, Jason arrived at the hospital. At first, Emily thought someone had come to back her up and was considering telling him about her grievances. But Jason's face darkened as he directly reached out and tugged her hair back. What did you just say? You're not sick. You've been pretending to be ill to deceive me? Emily was so scared she didn't dare to cry out loud. She could only move her lips, pleading desperately, Jason, I do this all because I love you so much. And don't you like me a lot too? You said Mia is too outstanding, and when you're with her, you feel pressured. It's different when you're with me. You can be more relaxed and happier. But before she could finish her sentence, Jason threw her onto the floor. Who do you think you are? You want to compare yourself to Mia? 10 of you wouldn't even measure up to one of her fingers. But when Emily heard these words, a sorrowful smile appeared on her face. Jason, why won't you admit that you've already fallen in love with me? If you don't like me, why do you pay so much attention to me, take care of me from time to time, and even stand up for me against those who bully me? Jason looked at her with a blank expression and cruelly spoke the truth. I take care of you because Mia told me that you are her good friend. I'm helping you just to put Mia's mind at ease. If it weren't for the fact that you're Mia's best friend, do you think I would even spare you a glance? Hearing this, Emily shook her head in disbelief. She screamed hysterically on the street. After Emily vented, she spoke to Jason in a tone that was almost boastful. At this point, what good does it do to say how much you love me? On the day you held the wedding with me, I had already live-streamed the entire ceremony to Shanlana via video call. Nah! Can you guess how many calls she made to you that day? What do you think she felt when she heard the sounds of our wedding night? I lost my Jason and became a complete madman. After he pulled Emily into the car, he accelerated to the maximum speed, aiming to crash into the riverbank. Without Mia, let's die together. The car crashed wildly, making Emily scream in terror. When Jason's supercar was stopped by the traffic police, Emily was so scared she fainted, her body going limp. It was the third day after this incident, the day before the wedding, when I received a call from Jason. After a few days of not seeing him, his voice was hoarse to the point of being unrecognizable. When I heard the name Mia again, it felt like I was in a different world. Mia, on your wedding day, can I attend? If you can't marry me, I want to see with my own eyes what you look like when you get married. Before the words of refusal could leave my lips, someone snatched the phone away. I didn't know when Ryan appeared behind me to answer. Of course, you're welcome. I'll have to personally toast you then. Jason gritted his teeth on the other end of the phone. Give the phone back to Mia. I want to talk to him. What does it have to do with you? Ryan raised an eyebrow slightly. We are one as a couple. What I say and what she says are the same. Jason hung up the phone in anger. Then, Ryan handed the phone back to me. He reined in the hostility that surrounded him, his brows and eyes softening as he looked down at me. Mia, you weren't angry just now, were you? I chuckled lightly in response. Of course not. You handled it well, saving me a lot of trouble. He let out a breath of relief, a bit nervously. That's good. I was afraid you might be upset, but actually, I was a bit worried. Because I know Jason, he's never someone who gives up easily. Ryan, do we really have to invite Jason to our wedding? I'm worried he might cause a scene at the ceremony. He didn't care at all. I'm worried he might cause a scene at the ceremony. He didn't care at all. Mia, don't worry. With me here, he won't be able to cause any trouble. Ryan was never someone who could be easily bullied. I had seen him handle work with a decisive and vigorous demeanor, but now he was willing to treat me with such patience and care. I stepped forward and gently embraced him. Ryan, thank you. This sentence contained too many emotions. Thank you for supporting and accepting me like this. Also, thank you for giving me immense dignity when I was deeply hurt by emotions. Ryan's large hand gently rested on the back of my head. Between you and me, there's no need for thanks. On the day of the wedding, the guests filled the seats. I was in the hotel dressing room, incredibly nervous. During this time, Ryan came in several times, bringing me a lot of milk tea and food. Chloe couldn't help but feel envious. She joked, "Oh, the groom is trying to fatten up our bride." Ryan looked at me with a doting expression. "Today will be tough. Eat a little more." At the wedding venue, everywhere was adorned with dazzling flame orchids, shining brilliantly. I wore a high-fashion sheer gown and slowly made my entrance to the beautiful music. There was a burst of cheers as my parents sent me off to marriage with tears in their eyes. It took only a minute to walk from the entrance to the center of the venue, but I walked from the wrong relationship to the right lover, taking a full 10 years. 10 years felt like a lifetime apart. With deep affection in his eyes, Ryan slowly stepped forward and knelt on one knee. "Mia, will you marry me?" When that enormous diamond ring appeared before my eyes, a wave of emotion surged in my heart. I covered my lips and slowly nodded. Immediately after, we exchanged rings and embraced each other in a kiss, all in one breath. Ryan spent a fortune to secure a billboard in the very center of the city. He wanted to loop the video of our wedding ceremony on it. He said he wanted everyone to see my happiness and to wish me well. But Jason, who said he would come to the wedding, did not show up. It was only after the guests had all left that I saw Jason cornered and restrained by 2 bodyguards. His hands and feet were bound, and even his mouth was stuffed with rags. Nature couldn't make any noise. Ryan stepped forward and pulled the cloth strip from his mouth. Jason's eyes turned red with anger. "Is this your way of hosting guests?" Ryan maintained his expression, politely speaking, "I apologize for the lack of greeting, Mr. Jason. Please don't take offense." Jason looked at me with a face full of reluctance. He spoke almost pleadingly. "Mia, I simply nodded at him lightly. "Thank you, Mr. Jason, for gracing our wedding with your presence. Please be sure to send us an invitation when you get married. We will definitely attend together." Upon hearing the words from the couple, Ryan raised an eyebrow slightly, a hint of an unintentional smile appearing at the corner of his mouth. In the end, Jason was defeated. He looked at Ryan's face. "You did this on purpose. You want me to see Mia marry you with my own eyes. You want me to be completely heartbroken? You're just a scheming bastard." Ryan did not deny it, and even shamelessly replied, "Thank you for the compliment." Jason had probably never encountered someone like this before, so infuriated that he lost his temper. Finally, he collapsed on the ground in despair. "Mia, do you know that I have prepared so many things? I swear I will win you back at this wedding." But as I watched him walk towards me, his face full of shame, my throat felt like it had swallowed countless blades, making it hard to breathe. I listened, showing no expression. "Oh, normal. I felt the same way when I knew you were having a wedding with Emily." The light in Jason's eyes completely faded away. Ryan's scheme succeeded. I knew that from this point on, Jason and I would truly have nothing to do with each other. On the night of our wedding, I sat nervously on the bed. In the bathroom, the water flowed with a splashing sound, slowly reaching my eardrums. Before long, Ryan stepped out, bringing with him the damp mist and his exquisite waist and abdomen. I instinctively swallowed. Ryan stepped forward, leaned down, and softly asked in my ear, "Do you like it?" That night, I experienced ultimate joy. The next day, when I woke up, my whole body ached, and I had shouted so much that my voice was hoarse. But I needed to quickly get myself together. because tonight I would be going with Ryan to his friend's banquet. I chose a champagne-colored strapless dress, and when I appeared in front of everyone on Ryan's arm, it caused quite a stir. After Ryan settled me in, he got up to greet his friends. The man closest to Ryan was the second son of the Sidhu family, who started with antiques. As soon as he saw me, he came over to tease. "So, you are Miss Mia that our young master Ryan has been thinking about day and night." I greeted him with a smile. "Young Master Sidhu, I've long admired your name." Sidhu raised his wine glass and chuckled lightly. "You have no idea. Ever since he saw you once when he was a kid, he would occasionally bring you up in front of us guys. Later, when you became a painter, he quietly supported you with a huge sum to hold your art exhibition, and then he bought all your paintings. One could say he was utterly infatuated. Not just that, young Master Ryan even opened a branch office in Haysher, just for you." Hearing them say this, the doubts I had before seemed to be explained. Why was Ryan able to rush over and take me for treatment right after I had a heart attack at home? It turns out that my fate with him was already established in childhood. Ryan came back and asked me, "What are you thinking about? You look so focused." I turned my head and smiled at him. "I was just thinking, how did I get to know you when we were kids? I don't have any memory of it at all." Ryan gently wrapped his arm around my waist, mysteriously saying, "Many, many years ago, there was a crybaby who always ran alone to cry under the cherry blossom tree. I was practicing the piano upstairs at that time and got annoyed by the noise, so I thought I'd go downstairs to see who could cry for so long. I didn't expect to run into you." As soon as he said that, I instantly remembered. "You're the big brother who comforted me? I used to be isolated by my friends due to my health issues, so I would go cry under a cherry blossom tree. I didn't expect to meet such a kind big brother. He would listen to me talk about my worries, and I would bring him delicious pastries and fresh flowers. We once had a wonderful time." Oh my, after so many years, Ryan has grown to be so stunningly attractive. After seeing the surprised expression on my face, Ryan gently ruffled my hair. "I watched you at the beginning, not getting used to the Sea City, but gradually becoming happy, even ending up with Jason. At that time, I was extremely upset, yet I thought as long as you were happy, everything would be fine. But later, I realized that you were not happy by his side. Still, I wanted you to be happy, so I silently supported your career and helped you overcome all obstacles." Speaking of which, Ryan let out a bitter laugh. "But human desires are infinitely magnified, and in the end, seeing Jason not cherish you like he should. I want to keep you by my side. Let me love you properly." My heart trembled slightly. After Jason returned to the city, he fell into a state of despair day and night, hardly caring about business matters. Old Master Jason, furious, picked up his cane and struck him several times, resulting in him being sent straight to the hospital. Emily had been missing for a while. No one knew her whereabouts. Chloe said that someone had seen her picking up scrap in the southern part of the city, and she was completely disoriented, acting crazily. Later one night, Chloe called me and said, "Mia, do you know, a few days ago, I ran into Emily." When I heard that name again, I felt little emotion. That was someone who had long been far removed from my life. Zay, she really is in a terrible state now. Emily can't even recognize anyone, and she's still mumbling about wanting to marry a rich second-generation heir and become a wealthy lady. Some homeless man on the street noticed that she was quite attractive and began to have improper thoughts. As a result, after a few encounters, she became even more deranged, and now she is even over 3 months pregnant. I have no sympathy for this. We are all adults now. The path we choose to take is entirely up to us. Once I also gave my all to help her, but what I received in return was betrayal. After hanging up the phone, Ryan brought me a late-night snack. "Wife, don't tire yourself out. Come have some coconut sago. Take a break." I looked up and saw Ryan's handsome face. A wave of satisfaction washed over me. Outside the window, countless lights were shining. Inside the room, my beloved was by my side.